You've probably heard the opening words of the Bible 1,000 times. In the beginning, God created. They're some of the most famous words ever written, right? And they kick off this incredible story that tries to answer our biggest questions. Where did we all come from? And what are we even doing here? But this ancient text starts with a real head-scratcher, a puzzle that's had people talking for centuries.
So right out of the gate, we hit this puzzle. Genesis chapter 1 gives us this amazing story of creation. And then bam, chapter 2 seems to start all over again with a totally different version. So what's the deal? Are they contradicting each other, or is there something deeper going on? Well, let's solve this thing together.
Okay, first up is Genesis 1. I want you to think of this as the grand, poetic, wide-angle shot of creation. It's this majestic, really orderly account of the entire universe just coming into being over 7 distinct stages, or days. The story kicks off with the earth in a state described by this incredible Hebrew phrase, tohu wabohu, which means formless and void. It's a really poetic way of saying the world was this empty, unorganized, uninhabited canvas, just waiting for the artist to show up and start bringing order to all that chaos.
Now this is where it gets really cool. Check out the elegant pattern hiding inside those first 6 days. See the structure here? The first 3 days are all about forming the unformed realms. You've got light and darkness, sky and water, and dry land. Then look at the next 3 days. They perfectly match up to fill those exact realms with inhabitants, the sun and moon, the sea creatures and birds, and finally the land animals and us, humanity. It's this beautiful symmetry, right? First you form it, then you fill it. So on day 6, after humanity is created, kind of the pinnacle of the physical work, God looks at everything and says it's very good. But wait, that's not the end of the story. The real climax of this first account isn't actually the creation of people. It's the 7th day. God rests. He blesses this day, sets it apart as holy. So the ultimate point here isn't just about making stuff. It's about communion and rest with the one who made it all.
Okay, so now we pivot to Genesis 2. And if the first story was the epic, wide-angle shot, this one is the close-up. The narrative camera literally zooms in, shifting from the whole cosmos down to a very personal story. And it focuses intensely on the creation of humanity and our special place in the world. And this just shows that change in focus perfectly. Genesis 1 gives us this formal, almost cosmic declaration about humanity. But Genesis 2, it gets super personal. It describes the man being intimately formed from dust, almost like a potter shaping clay, and the woman being fashioned from his side. Here, we're not just the final act in a long sequence, we're the main character, right from the very start of the story. In this quote, this is really the emotional heart of the second account. For the very first time, something in creation is declared not good. Adam is alone. This story is hammering home the idea that we are fundamentally relational beings. We are designed for companionship, for partnership. It's not just about what we do. It's about who we're with. So, how do we solve the puzzle? We've got these 2 accounts, and they seem so different. Is it a contradiction? Well, the answer isn't about pitting them against each other, but about seeing how beautifully they actually fit together. The key to unlocking this whole puzzle isn't to see a contradiction, but a change in perspective. Seriously, think of it like a filmmaker's toolkit. Genesis 1 is the wide-angle establishing shot, showing us the entire landscape of creation. Then Genesis 2 switches to a zoom lens, focusing right in on the specific, intimate details of the most important event inside that landscape, the creation of humanity. To put it as simply as possible, Genesis 2 isn't a different creation story, it's just a more detailed breakdown of day 6 from the first story. After giving us that big picture, the author zooms in to expand on the main event of that 6th day, the forming of Adam, the planting of the garden, and the creation of Eve. But there's actually another layer to this, and it's hidden in the original Hebrew. The text itself gives us little clues about how these stories work together, just by the very specific words it chooses for God's creative acts. So there's this Hebrew verb, bara. It's special. We translate it as to create, but it's more specific than that. It means to bring something into existence out of nothing, ex nihilo. And in the Bible, this is a power that only God ever uses. And the author of Genesis is incredibly deliberate about this. The text uses bara for these huge foundational acts of creation, the universe itself, the very first animal life, and humanity. But for other acts, like shaping the sky or forming animals from the earth, it often uses a different word, asa, which means to make or to form from materials that are already there.
This careful choice of words just adds another layer of precision and depth to the whole story. All right, so what does all this ancient, carefully structured literature mean for us right now? Why should we care about these two accounts? Well, because they literally establish a foundation for our own identity and our purpose. When you put it all together, these stories tell us that our world isn't some cosmic accident, but it's the intentional work of a creator who really values order and beauty. They tell us that humanity has this unique status, that we're created in God's image. And they reveal our core design. We are made for meaningful work, for deep relationships, and yes, for restorative rest. So we end up right back where we started. These two accounts, working together, they paint this profound picture of where we come from. They're not just about how the world began thousands of years ago, they're about who you are, right now. So the question they leave us with is this: how does this story of an intentional, purposeful beginning shape your sense of meaning and purpose today?